There we go. Recording is happening. Cool. So for this, we're going to just go through kind of Zoho Flow, Calendly, Campaigns, CRM. We'll touch on CRM. So if you've got Zoho 1, you've got all of that in already. And if you've got Speaker Flow with Zoho 1, you've got all of it in already and things like that. Calendly, I'm not entirely sure if you have to have the paid pro version of Calendly for this. I don't think so,
Okay.
but it's a maybe. I've had the pro one for years, so I don't know what features are different between free and pro. So yeah. So just for anyone watching the recording, there are going to be some functions that we have to define and design in Zoho Flow. I'll have those attached as sort of secondary text files as part of a package or something. I'll host them on my site or Google Drive or something for everyone. But yeah, we can get started. So there are some technical tricks to this. I don't want to say it's a hack, it's a functioning thing, but there is some work to be done to make the connections work. So let's get the screen going. So, right, let me just get it. Too many windows, get everything inside here. And yeah, feel free to like jump in and ask questions because that'll help anyone else as well. So big thing is we're going to start in Zoho Flow. So if you go to flow.zoho.com, that's where you set everything up. So if no one has used Flow before, I dove into it a few weeks ago because I really didn't want to pay for Zapier because Zapier is ridiculously expensive for what they give you, and they're just restricting the free stuff more and more every single time. Zoho Flow is an alternative to it that comes with Zoho 1 and is very powerful, and I've actually been very, very happy with it so far. So I've built a whole bunch of integrations between Squarespace, between my Score app, between Linktree, between my own tools, between Calendly, that is really working well. And I've built, deleted, and I think I've got actually one that works pretty well now. And I must say that I'm getting so many conversions onto my newsletter from people booking meetings. Almost every meeting that people book of a specific meeting type just gets into my mailing list, which is great. So first thing that we need to do on this one is if you're in Flow, flow.zoho.com, go to settings, and you're going to look for connections. So under Flow Setup. And this is where we connect other platforms and systems and things like that. So what we're working on today is Calendly. So it's create a connection. You would find Calendly. It says premium on the top, but if you're on Zoho 1 premium, Zoho 1 includes all the premium ones. So click on that. It'll pop up another window and ask you to sign in to Calendly. I've already done this, but it'll pop up, ask you to authorize your Calendly account. You say yes, and then it'll link and you'll get this Calendly integration here, and you can test it and it'll tell you connections working fine. Off you go. The other ones you need to do is Zoho Campaigns. If you're doing this for the newsletter, I'm going to talk about CRM because you can do this as well. This is my next step as well. Though I think I've got it in one of my other flows built in. We'll take a look. But you want Calendly and Campaigns at a minimum here. Then we start heading on to flows. So flows is where the magic happens. And I've got the Calendly newsletter sign up here. And the builder is where we want to be. So this is where we actually build our logic for our flow. Now, in Builder, if you haven't used it before, your connected apps are going to show up on the left with all the functions that you can support from them. So Calendly has various little triggers that can happen, and this is where your workflow starts. So what I've got in here is an event is scheduled by an invitee. So that should be on your left-hand side. You can drag it out onto the Builder page, and you've got your details there. Within that, you'll have your Calendly connection. It'll ask you for your connections. So you've only got the one, which is Calendly. It's a trigger. This variable name here is what that part of your flow is going to be referred to for the rest of the flow. So anything that happens in Calendly for me is going to start with trigger. So it'll be trigger dot some kind of detail from Calendly. And that's important to go into. You can also filter here where you can filter the type of event or event ID. So you can trigger that only one type of event triggers this workflow. I had it on that because I only wanted to have this from my like exploratory meeting. Then when it worked really, really well, I just let it go on every single meeting. So you can filter it or not. I don't have a filter on mine so that any meeting scheduled will trigger this flow. The idea between my workflow, just to give it an overview as well. So we get the event scheduled by Calendly. Then we have these two custom functions. Now, this is where kind of a bit of the magic happens because we've got to extract certain details out of the Calendly event that's not actually easy to get to. And I'll get to that in a moment. Then I go to a decision to say, well, is the newsletter a yes? So has someone said yes to the newsletter in that booking? It's Randall. If they've said yes to the newsletter, then it's going to add or update the contact in Zoho Campaigns. Then from there, I've got, is it a specific meeting, which is a 30-minute consult that I have, because I have other workflows. If someone is booking that 30-minute consult, it means they're coming from one of my other lead generation setups, which means I tag them so they don't go into my nurture campaigns to say, oh, you're new here, because I'm now going to be meeting with them. Hey, Randall, good to see you.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the delay.
No problem.
It's been crazy. So I see this as a recording. I'll just catch
Yeah.
up on the recording. So
Yeah, we'll have the recording for everyone, and then I'm also going to provide all the text of the functions that are built so that you don't have to mess around in the code, kind of thing. So we haven't got very far. I've just been going through the flow and how to set up the connection in Calendly and Zoho Flow. Okay, so to try and explain the functions, and stop me here if you need me to explain in more detail or slow down or anything like that, because I kind of get into my programmer brain here and I'll kind of run down a route and assume people might know things or not know things or something like that. So please shout. The way that these, yeah, Nadisha?
Thanks. Speaking of questions, I have two so far.
Yeah,
So
please.
I know when you were showing the Calendly, I cannot remember how you got to that place, but where you show the variable name as trigger.
Oh yeah, so that's when you just to step back, actually, I think it might show differently. This is a very good point. Thank you for raising that. If you create a flow from scratch, it's a little different because it's going to ask you what you want to do. So this would be I'll just say flow from Calendly. So I'm going to create it from scratch. Then you need what triggers your flow. We're going to want the app. So it's going to be coming from the Calendly app to trigger it. So configure an app one, Calendly, next, and then here's what your trigger is. So I'm going to say event scheduled by invitee. So this is whenever anyone schedules an event. And then next, and then here we get to that page that we were talking about. So the connection is Calendly, and the variable name is trigger. So
and what is the purpose of that variable name?
That is, you'll see it when I go into the functions.
Okay.
It is how you will refer back to Calendly. So it's actually a good flow into that now. So when we look at Calendly, so these are all my meetings in the back end of Calendly. I'm going to use my 30-minute consultation. It's generally hidden from people. If we go to more options and we look at the form, so the invitee form that people fill in, I ask for first name, last name, email, and what they want to connect with, company name. Just as a side note, this is good for Castle compliance. If you're adding someone with implied consent into your newsletter, you want to have the company name and you want to have the title of that person. But I digress. The information you might want, and then I've got my newsletter question here. Now, when any of this stuff goes back to Zoho, or it's flying around in the back of Calendly, the way it technically works in the background is each of these questions are in little placeholders and variables. So those variables will be things like first name, last name, contact email, etc., etc., etc. The questions are a little different. I'll get into that in a moment. But what the trigger does is how we refer to each of those. So as we're going through our flow, when we want to refer to a first name or something like that, it's not going to be plain English like, oh, we're just going to say, where's the first name? The first name will be something like trigger dot first underscore name or trigger dot underscore last name or something along those lines. So trigger is kind of where we get that. You could have this be called Calendly. So then it'll be Calendly dot first name whenever you're referring back to it. And you'll see when we get into that.
Got it. Thanks.
Sure. The questions are a little different. And this is where the, if I go back to my flow, this is where these functions come in. Now, if we look at, let me go to test and debug and show you. So this is what comes from Calendly. So these are all the things that would be after that trigger dot. So if you wanted to see the reschedule URL, it would be trigger dot reschedule URL. So here we have username. This is me in Calendly. And then we have invitee. So we can see the invitees' names here coming in. And from these here, we can start pulling information out. Now, those questions come in as one question and answer, and they will be in random orders. And if someone doesn't answer one, it won't show up in here. So that's where it gets really, really tricky because there's nothing that you can refer to as questions and answers .0 is yes for your newsletter because you don't know that your newsletter question is going to be 0. It could be 3, it could be 2, depending on your event. So what we do is these custom functions here. Now, like I said, I'll pop this into a text package that will go with this video. But in the built-in side, we have logic and we have subflows and we have custom functions. So the custom functions let us work little bits of magic on the text that's in there, and we can pull things out on if and then and statements like that. So if we look at the Calendly newsletter one, which is my next function. So I've received an event. It's got all these things in. I want to pull out the newsletter. The Calendly newsletter function goes in and it creates a new variable. So where we had trigger dot whatever being what comes from Calendly, this here is we're going to have Calendly newsletter check dot something. And the first thing we have here is newsletter answer. So what this function does is it by default says that your newsletter is always no. So no one has subscribed to your newsletter as a default. But then it goes and gets all the out of that array of questions and answers. So all your custom questions and answers, and give me more detail about what we're discussing. Do you want the newsletter, et cetera, et cetera. It will look through each of those one by one and look for something that says newsletter. So in all my answers, I'm just going to close leads because I keep going there. In my answer here, is, yes, sign me up for the Practically Private newsletter. Newsletter is my keyword. So what the function does, because if someone doesn't check this box, nothing goes into Calendly. So Calendly won't be able, or Zoho won't receive anything that says newsletter. If someone checks this in Calendly, it'll get trigger dot question and answer, and in there it'll have this like, yes, sign me up for the newsletter. The function finds that newsletter word, and if it finds newsletter and someone has said yes to newsletter, it changes that Calendly newsletter check dot newsletter answer to yes. And now I can refer back to that. So I'm now no longer referring to Calendly, I'm referring to my own function. I do very similarly for the company name. So I go and look for company. If someone has filled in the form and they filled out their company name as an answer, I will get the answer that they gave and return it as company name. So Calendly get company dot company name comes out. Then we go over to decisions. The decision that we make is, if I edit it, we have our logic. So the way Zoho Flow works is it has all the things that have happened before this step show up on the right-hand side. So I can see here in Calendly, these are all the things that Calendly has sent through. And we should see that there's questions and answers and questions and responses, and we can't actually see which one is yes, no, we can't see the actual answer, so we can't filter on it. That's why we create the functions. And if we go down, we'll see here are those two functions that we had. So I can see Calendly newsletter check is one of the things that I can refer to, and get company is something I can refer to separately. So my logic here is the Calendly newsletter. So Calendly newsletter check equals yes. So if that is true, it's going to go and add or update a contact to campaigns. And that all these things here we're dragging in from the left. And when you drag in, it'll draw a little line and we can work on those. So when I'm getting to that point now of the add or update contacts, I'm going into apps, I'm going to Zoho campaigns, and there will be an add or update contact here. I pull that in over here. So now I can see, okay, the event was scheduled. I've pulled out, if someone said yes to the newsletter, I've pulled out the company name. I make a decision now that, oh, someone said yes on the newsletter. Now let's update the contact. So if I look here at this now, again, I've got all these variables on the side. I have my variable name for add or update contact. We're not going to worry about that. That's filled in automatically. And now we try look for the email. So like I said, with when we're referring back to Calendly, here's that trigger dot. So contact email, whenever I'm referring to a variable, it always starts with a $sign and curly brackets. So we're going to say the contact email is going to be the trigger dot invitee email. So this is what's going to be filled in Zoho campaigns. So it's going to take what's in Calendly, dump it in here. First name is first name from Calendly. What that looks like when you add it, it'll be blank, is we can expand event first name. When we're in that box, we can go find here the invitee first name and click, and then it'll fill in for you. So now we have our first name. So trigger invitee first name, the last name is the last name, company name. Oh, okay, I've missed this. So company name, this is a good example. I had that function for get company because again, I can't see question and responses. My function has pulled out the company name. So I can expand this and I can say the company name is Calendly get company 2. It's pulling it from the function. So now it's going to update their company name in my Zoho campaigns. You can add any number of these items that you're asking for in your Calendly. So if you are asking for websites and countries and things like that, you can do it. I think you can actually trigger on country, maybe. Not job titles. That's it.
Quick question, Ross.
Yeah.
I know this isn't a Zoho campaign session, but I'm just curious. I know that if you put something into Zoho CRM, the contact automatically flies over to Zoho Campaigns, but not the other way around. I'm just
It depends on
wondering,
how you've set it up. So my contacts don't go through from CRM into campaigns.
you keep them completely separate?
I have them separate, mostly because it's possibly because I'm under GDPR settings for Europe, because I do a lot of work in Europe and South Africa, where you can't do that. You can't put someone straight into campaigns from their CRM, from the CRM side. So I have the two very separate. Campaigns
Okay.
is actually my primary, and I create leads from campaigns more likely.
Okay. Keep on going. Sorry about the sidebar.
No problem, no problem. When you get to the bottom of the campaign side, this is important. It's where you select your list that you want to add people to. If you're using topics, so I'm just going to pop marketing, and then send resubscribe mail for do not mail. I put it on true kind of always for that. And then we can hit done, and that's the person's going to be added to your campaigns. Like I said, I've got another decision here. So I check whether something is a 30-minute meeting, a specific 30-minute meeting, because that means I don't want those people in a specific nurture campaign. So if it's that, I tag the contact with the tag that pulls them out of my nurture campaign. And then I send an email to me saying someone new has been added to my list when they went through the Calendly booking. This is more just for me to know that this has fired off correctly and I've actually received their contact details. You'll see on error, I also have send emails. So that's part of the built-ins under notifications. So you can dump in emails wherever there's a space. It's on error, drop here or send there. So anytime there's an error, I get an email. The email tells me, oh, well, there is an error in the flow. It's the newsletter check said that, and these were the people that were signing in. Again, just pulling from the side here. So this sidebar becomes your friend for adding anything that comes from the Calendly meeting in there. Yeah, like I said, with the functions, the custom functions, I will send all this text because this would be the same every time. You would basically just change what your wording might be if your newsletter is, if you want to say, yes, sign me up for practically private, I can put practically private in here and it will look for that wording and then make them a yes for my newsletter. Yeah, Nadisha.
Thanks. So just a quick question. So I know you mentioned you send the email to yourself with some details about that event. What do you do then with that information?
That's just it's more testing for me, I suppose. So it's just to know someone has gone through the workflow successfully. So I can, because then what I'll do is I'll get basically in my inbox, I'll get the Calendly booking request. And right next to that, I have the confirmation email that this person has been added to my campaigns list because they said yes. So it's just good for me to know. It's like an FYI. The other side of it is these failure ones that I know, okay, the function couldn't fire or didn't find the newsletter item, or something didn't exist, or something went wrong with getting the company. And then, because if any of these fail, your workflow stops. So if get company fails, it means that the rest of the tree didn't happen.
Right.
So I want to know that, oh, someone failed in this workflow. I can go manually add them to campaigns then if they ask for it.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's what I use those for. Just going to apply changes here. And then what happens basically, you get these test and debug sections here. You can see either have a sample test entry where you can, while this is open, you can go create a booking in Calendly and then it'll populate and show, oh, this is what I just received from Calendly. And then you can go work through the flow with it. You can also go back to recent tests that you've done and you can retest everything. One note that I will say, test on your own appointments that you've booked yourself. Because when you run through the test, even though it says test, it is actively changing campaigns. So if you've got someone that has opted out before and you're now going to go test on their information, they're going to opt in automatically because you're refiring those triggers, even though it says test. So it is live. Don't treat it as test. It's just to make sure your workflow works. You can see tests that you've done, which is these are going back to the sample test ones. And then recent executions, these are what people have fired off from using your booking live in the wild, which I showed in the video, and I'll probably redact some of that information in the recording. Yeah, and that should fire everything through. Similarly, what you can do as well, and I think I've got this in another workflow, is, yeah, I think here, if someone books specifically this 30-minuter, that's generally when they are a hot lead for me. So I will have this event coming in from a specific event in Calendly. You'll see here, I have these filter criteria. So the trigger is Calendly, but it only fires off this event if it's one of these two event IDs. So one of these is a booking from my Score app risk report that someone does, and they've hit the, okay, book a consultation. The other is from my email campaigns, like book a consultation with me. So if either of those fire off, it'll go in and get the company, because again, like I mentioned, we don't know what order these questions are going to be in, and it doesn't show us in Zoho where they are. So we have to get a function to pull out the answer that someone's given to these that we can work off. So that function for me is the get company. It pulls the company out, and then I can create a lead and then start populating it with all the different things. So my lead source is from Calendly or Score app, so I can track where it came from. It's for consulting. It's the first name. I'm now getting the company from that function that we had, last name of the person, email address, first name, etc., etc. So then I can reach out with the information.
So the Zoho CRM create an update lead, is that your own function, or is that
No, that's built in. So
where is that?
So what you would do, and part of this came in before you joined, but I'm glad to go through it again. No problem. Is if you go to settings, flow setup, connections, you need to add your connection in here first before it'll show up in flow. So you must add your connection to Zoho CRM, your connection to Calendly, Squarespace, Zoho Books, Google Sheets, whatever you want in here. Then when you're in flows, and you're in Builder, they'll populate under connected apps on the left here. So I can go to CRM. It's a built-in one here, create or update lead, and I can drag it onto the canvas.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. It's technical, but it works well. Are there any questions around it? Do you want me to show anything again? Anything that I went through there? When do you look horrified?
No, I'm just trying to keep up because I've got it open on this screen, so I'm just sort of going back and forth and clicking where trying to keep up, but I'm not quite there. So the replay is going to be super helpful.
Where are you? I can kind of go back there again if you want.
So yeah, I think so I got into flow, and I think once you backtracked and when Nadisha asked about where we actually create that flow, that was helpful because that wasn't coming up.
Yeah, sorry, that was my bad.
No, that's
I've been in this so long, I kind of forget what the wizard
You're
looks
like,
like.
okay, we need the 101 version, not the 201 version.
Yeah.
No, I think so. I think I got to create your own flow or whatever. And then from there, you've just called that Calendly, right? Calendly flow. Okay.
Yeah. So the flow name is the flow entirely. So if we look at my flows, you'll see I just keep them descriptive so I know what they are.
Gotcha.
So that's there. Then here is where you can choose what triggers it.
Right.
So when we are wanting something coming from Calendly, CRM, campaigns, anything like that, it's going to be an app
Okay.
trigger.
Yeah, that's where I was lost. Okay.
Another interesting one to be aware of is webhook. And I'm diverting a bit now from particularly the Calendly side of things. There are a lot of apps out there that you won't have the connection in Zoho Flow. And it's like, oh, well, my app that I want to use isn't there. That's where webhook is your friend. So in a lot of apps that you go into,
Yeah.
they will have, if you go into settings of some obscure app that you might have, or say it's like Toggle Track or something like that, you go to settings, it'll have the option to create a webhook. You can then use that in Zoho Flow as well. So webhooks are also really handy. They're just a lot more technical. I burned days trying to get webhooks working. But app is where you want to go. And that's where you can choose from your connected apps here. So I went a trigger from Calendly.
Right.
And then events scheduled. And I mean, you can create flows from all of these. So event canceled, someone canceled an event. If you have more than one person registered in your Calendly, if you've got multiple people in your business, the event scheduled by an invitee for a specific user is another good one. Because again, event scheduled by invitee, if you've got more than one user in your Calendly, is going to be everyone. So any event scheduled for any person in your business will be in there.
Okay. And did you already know how to write code like HTML, or does the system auto populate all of that?
I do know how to write code.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, Claude did it quicker than I could have worked it out. So I just sat with Claude on the side saying, I need a function for Zoho Flow that will identify Calendly. And it was a bit of back and forth. And some of the stuff was like, oh, I know how an array works, which is how I could prompt Claude.
Yeah.
And if you are prompting Claude, the questions and answers coming from Calendly is going to be something called an array. So if you're ever asking for, I want to know where this is, you can use the term, where is this question in the array? And Claude will help you a lot more there.
Okay. And is it ARRAY?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you using Cowork on any of this stuff, Ross? I mean,
no, I was just asking questions to the standard desktop version. This is all just plain automation. There's no Cowork involved and triggers. Old school.
Yeah, no. In terms of actually getting it to write the formulas and everything, I've been having a lot of fun with using Cowork and code.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Randall.
I'll just say so it doesn't get clipped off if you're going to do any editing of this. I do not use Calendly. I use something called Calendar Hero. And just for anyone who's listening to this, it's exactly the same, except for the initial integration is with the Calendar Hero connection as opposed to the Calendly connection.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch more as well, if I remember seeing, like these are all the different connections you can use.
Wow.
Yeah, Calendar Hero is there. Zoho Bookings is in here too, somewhere, like right down at the bottom, I assume. So meetings, Zoho Bookings. So, I mean, any one of these tools will kind of work in the same way.
And one of the flows that you had set up was for Linktree. How are you using Linktree connected to that?
That's an interesting one. So Linktree. So within Linktree, you have, where is it again? Integrations. So Linktree is very limited. It only integrates with MailChimp's Klaviyo and Kit.
Yeah.
But they can do Google Sheets.
Okay, great.
So every time someone signs up via your Linktree or hits the subscribe button in the top right of your Linktree, it populates a Google Sheet. What I then do in Zoho Flow is I have under my connections, I'm connected to that specific Google Sheet.
Okay.
And then every time a row is added to that Google Sheet, I add a contact in Campaigns, and then it fires off the consent to the person
Oh,
again.
great. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, this is a very easy one.
Okay.
So yeah,
And
I've got that.
I'm assuming, 'cause I still have the free version of Linktree. Do you have to have the paid version of Linktree to get
I
that?
think you might.
Yeah.
What I will say is Linktree is kind of like one of my no-brainers for I pay for an annual license, and but they recently put the pricing up horrendously. It used to be 120 a year, and I think it went up to something like close on 200 a year all of a sudden.
Ugh.
But I find it very, very handy. Like my Linktree updates regularly, and I send a lot of people there. My business card, I've registered a domain that redirects to my Linktree. So, and I've got a QR code on my card and my phone. So if I meet someone at an event, they just scan that. They're on my Linktree. If they're a speaker, they can get to my speaking stuff. If they are wanting my IT stuff, they can find it there. If they want my YouTube, it's just really nice from a personal perspective.
So it seems to be like a great holder for all of the things that anyone could possibly need from you that just keeps it simple. Yeah.
And it's like, instead of sending someone to my LinkedIn and then they're only on my LinkedIn, like now they can have the choice. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube, follow me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So yeah, and you can see who's clicked on what, and you get statistics like the pro version.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Sure. And sorry, another one here, though it's trickier, is Squarespace. Because Squarespace very much depends on what version of Squarespace you're on.
Okay.
And what paid version. So you need to be on one of the higher tiers on Squarespace. But Squarespace, you can also get your Squarespace forms on your website into Zoho Campaigns, which is great because the one thing about Zoho Campaigns is their forms suck. So I actually build custom forms using Claude for my Zoho, and then pump them in either via Squarespace. Well, I wanted to with Squarespace, but I'm not upgrading. If anything, I'm going to be building my stuff myself in Claude now. But
Wow.
Nadisha, you've had your hand up for a long time. You can just interrupt me.
Polite.
No worries. Thanks for all that. So just a quick question on this page, particular. How did you decide that you're gonna create flows for each of these areas, or I don't know, functions?
Because I was annoyed at manual process. Basically, if it's something that I'm like, well, this could really be automated, and I also didn't want to send it to my VAs to take up their time.
Right.
Where it's like, I should be able to get something from Linktree into my campaigns without having to manually go check my Linktree every week. So I must be able to do this. So yeah, that purely out of annoyance is kind of how I put these together.
Ross, how much do you charge to set up a flow for somebody?
We can chat offline about that. I do have a business that does these kind of things too, but that's not the point. That's not the point of this meeting.
All right.
Like, CAPS members get like special treatment.
Oh, thank you. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Yeah.
So this is
Can
Zoho
I ask you
campaigns
can I ask
currently
you to do
unmoored.
one thing? Would it be
Yeah.
all right? I wouldn't mind because I wouldn't mind if it's okay with you to take a picture of the visual of the flow of your logic. Would that be okay?
Oh yeah, sure. To the Calendly newsletter sign up.
So there, and just make it a bit smaller.
Yeah. I think I can just go.
Command period, command minus.
I'll take a picture too. Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Ross.
Sure. What I can do as well, just in the interim, is I don't know how the formatting is going to go with this. In the chat, I've put the code for these.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Ross, while you're doing that, just curious, have you played around with agents for things like this?
I have agents doing other stuff for me. So a lot of this kind of flow, or robotic process automation is my background. I did a lot of this for years. I don't. I feel like it's not worth an agent's effort
Okay.
to do this that can be triggered. I don't want to use my tokens on something for this. Let's put it that way. Like I have agents for more building sites and code and backend and things like that. I don't have a lot of agents because most of the stuff I can do, I end up doing like this. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure, but this just seems quicker and cleaner to me.
Thanks.
That said as well, within flows, I do think you can also, I think they do have an AI helper as well. So you can ask Zoho to build a flow for you and it'll suggest what to slot in and things like that. I seem to recall seeing that.
Oh, okay. This
Great.
is great. Thank you so much. You're very generous, Ross, as always.
That's
Thank
a
you.
pleasure anytime.
Thank
I
you.
learned from you, Randy.
It always comes back, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
always comes back. So
Yeah, it's the CAPS way of doing things. So yeah, so cool. I'm gonna just edit the video a little because I clicked on a few live things that I probably shouldn't have. But then I will get that out to you guys. The functions were in the chat, so you can copy them. And yeah, I'll post this as like a little package in Google Drive or something like that.
Thank
sorry,
you.
I gotta find the chat here.
Thanks so
And
much,
there.
Ross. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. I'm gonna stop recording.